You handed over $600 for a game improvement driver, and the launch monitor in the fitting bay lit up like a slot machine hitting a jackpot. 7 extra yards, the screen promised, and you felt that familiar surge of hope that this time the technology would finally outsmart your swing. But here's what nobody at that fitting counter wants to talk about. The same driver, unchanged, sat on the shelf for 18 months while the industry convinced you it was obsolete. And the 2 extra yards you actually saw on the course, on a good strike, cost you $300 per yard. That $600 club is the single most carefully engineered leak in your wallet, and it's aimed directly at golfers over 60. The senior golf market has become its own industry, complete with buying guides published year after year, each one promising to help you maximize your distance. There are entire categories built around your age group, drivers with names that whisper forgiveness, lightweight shafts that promise to restore what time has taken away, and every single one of them wants the same thing: your money, delivered in a predictable cycle that never actually ends. You believe you need these clubs because your swing speed has dropped, and you've been told in 100 different ways that modern technology is the only bridge across that gap. The marketing departments have studied your fears more carefully than any coach ever studied your swing, and they've built products specifically to speak to that anxiety. But let's look at what the evidence actually shows, not what the advertisements claim. Golfers with swing speeds between 65 and 80 miles per hour are the target audience for what the industry calls senior flex shafts. And here's the contradiction that should stop you cold. The loft on your driver matters more than the brand name printed on the crown, yet you walked past a dozen options to buy the one with the most aggressive advertising. A 10.5-degree driver, properly fitted, can recover 10 to 20 yards for a senior golfer without any change in swing effort. That's not marketing spin. That's the physics of launch angle and spin rate working in your favor. That 10.5-degree driver you already own might be the only upgrade you need. The marketing just never wanted you to know it. If you want to see through every dollar trap this industry builds around your love for the game, subscribe right now. Type dead money in the comments, then tell me what loft your current driver has and whether you were ever actually fitted for it. The problem is that you were never fitted for that loft. You were sold a story about forgiveness and distance, wrapped in a carbon fiber crown that adds nothing to your ball speed, but adds plenty to the price tag. Think about the last time you stood in a fitting bay, gripping a club that cost more than a nice dinner for 2. The screen in front of you glowed with data, and every number seemed to point toward that $600 purchase. But the fitting was designed to end in a sale, not in an honest assessment of your game. Here's what the evidence shows when you step back from the launch monitor. Most senior golfers need more loft, not less. A 9-degree driver, the kind you probably played in your 40s, actually hurts you now because it launches the ball too low and costs you carry distance. The fix is a simple adjustment that costs nothing, yet the industry has convinced you that the only solution is a brand new club. The quiet truth is that the most expensive driver in the bag is often the one that loses the most value after a single season. The moment the next model ships, your $600 investment becomes a $400 club, then a $250 trade-in. Meanwhile, the 2 extra yards you gained on the course were invisible to everyone except the launch monitor that sold you the dream. If you've ever stood on the first tee, watched your drive land, and felt that quiet pinch in your chest when you realized the new club didn't change anything, you already know exactly how this mechanism works. Let's talk about the engineering behind the price tag, because that's where the real story lives. Manufacturers don't price drivers by what they cost to make. They price them by what the market will bear. And the senior market is uniquely willing to pay for hope. The research and development costs are real, but the markup on a carbon fiber crown, a titanium face, and an adjustable hosel is staggering when you break it down. You're not paying for performance. You're paying for the promise that the next round will feel different, that the years will roll back just a little, that the ball will finally fly the way it did when you were younger. That promise is the contract you signed, and the industry has been collecting on it for decades. The fitting process itself is engineered to exploit your optimism. You swing a dozen different heads, and the numbers flicker across the screen, each one a little better than the last, until you're looking at a distance that feels like victory. What the screen doesn't show you is the baseline comparison with your current driver, properly lofted and correctly fitted. The fitting bay is the final act of a sales script written before you ever walked in the door, never showing you the honest comparison that would reveal how small the real gain is. If you want to keep seeing through the engineering of every promise the industry makes, subscribe. Type "dead money" in the comments. What you just heard is the surface. The Dead Money Golf ebook goes 7 levels deeper. Every mechanism, every markup, every number fully sourced. 120 pages of what we can't post here. Plus the vault, 5 private video investigations that exist nowhere else. Link in the description and pinned comment. When you test that way, the delta shrinks dramatically. The $600 driver might give you 3 yards over your existing club with the right shaft and loft adjustment. 3 yards for $600. That's the inversion that should reframe everything you believe about equipment. And now, consider the cycle that keeps you trapped. Every few years, the industry releases a new model with a slightly different face technology, a marginally more aerodynamic shape, and an entirely new narrative about why your current driver is holding you back. The previous model isn't actually worse. It's just no longer the flagship, and the marketing shifts accordingly. You're not buying better performance, you're buying back the feeling of being current, of having the latest thing that might finally solve the puzzle. If you've ever felt that small drop in excitement when you realize your driver is no longer the newest version, you already understand the psychology they're exploiting. The data on senior fitting points to a simpler, cheaper path. More loft, usually 11 to 13 degrees. A shaft flex that matches your actual swing speed, not your age. And a head design that genuinely helps with forgiveness. Tested on the course, not just in the bay. Most of this can be achieved with your existing driver, or with a previous year's model purchased at a fraction of the original price. The industry needs you to believe that equipment becomes obsolete within 18 months. But the physical reality of golf clubs hasn't changed that dramatically in decades. The ball flight laws are fixed, the materials have improved, but not enough to justify the price premium on every new release. Here's the part that matters most. When you test a driver on the course, with your own eyes watching the actual flight, the marketing noise disappears. You see the rollout, you feel the strike, you know immediately whether the club is helping or just costing you money. The fitting bay flatters you. The course tells the truth. And the truth is that many senior golfers are playing drivers that are too low in loft, too stiff in the shaft, and too expensive for the benefit they deliver. You don't need the newest game improvement driver. You need the right one, fitted to your actual numbers. And that education is free. The transformation starts with a single question, something you've probably never been asked in a fitting bay. What does your driver actually do for you on the course? Not what the launch monitor says, not what the advertisement promises, but what you see when the ball lands in the fairway or in the rough or rolling through the fringe. The answer to that question will tell you more about your equipment than any fitting session ever will. And the moment you start asking it, you take the first step out of the spending cycle that's been draining your wallet since the first time you walked into a pro shop. You were set up systematically by an industry that has mastered the art of selling hope. Every new driver, every new shaft, every new marketing campaign is designed to make you feel like the next purchase will be the one that finally turns back the clock. And every time you believe it, the system wins, the value of your current club drops, and the cycle begins again. But here's the counter-principle that changes everything. The older you get, the less your driver matters to your score, and the more your short game determines how well you play. You can spend $600 on a new driver that gains you 2 yards, or you can spend that same money on lessons and practice time that shave strokes off your round. The evidence is in the math, and the math is unforgiving. Buy the game improvement driver that actually fits your swing, at a loft that matches your speed with a shaft flex that's honest about your current ability. Test it on the course, not in the bay. The moment you test a club on the course instead of the bay, you stop being a customer and start being a player. Subscribe so you can shut down dead money every time a new release cycle begins. Type dead money in the comments. What you just heard is the surface. The Dead Money Golf ebook goes 7 levels deeper. Every mechanism, every markup, every number fully sourced. 120 pages of what we can't post here. Plus the vault. 5 private video investigations that exist nowhere else. Link in the description and pinned comment. And when the next model releases 18 months from now, remember what the launch monitor didn't tell you. Your current club is still the same piece of equipment it was when you bought it, and it's still performing exactly as well as it did on day one. The only thing that changed is the marketing around it. And the only way you lose is if you believe the story again. So the next time you stand in a fitting bay, watching those numbers climb, ask yourself what the screen is actually selling you. Not a better golf game, not a longer drive, but a feeling. The feeling that you're doing something to fight the passage of time. And that feeling is worth a lot, which is exactly why they priced the driver accordingly. You don't need to stop buying game improvement drivers, and you don't need to give up on distance. You just need to stop paying $600 for a solution that your current club, properly fitted, could give you for free. The quiet satisfaction comes when you finally understand the trade you were never offered. Your current driver, with the right loft sleeve setting and a shaft that actually matches your tempo, can deliver nearly everything the new model promises. The difference between what you have and what the industry wants you to buy is often just a few yards, and those yards come at a breathtaking price. That's the whole game, laid bare. Every marketing campaign, every launch event, every fitting bay designed to end in a sale, all of it exists to separate you from the money that could have bought you a season of golf. The clubs in your bag are better than the industry wants you to believe, and your game is better than the advertisements give you credit for. So, the next time you hear that familiar sales pitch about reclaiming your distance, remember the math you now carry with you. A properly fitted driver you already own, a few lessons that fix your swing path, and the short game practice that actually lowers your score. None of it requires a $600 purchase. You've spent years trusting the industry to tell you what you need. Today, you finally trust yourself to know better.